How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about this stand your ground case in Florida. Very unfortunate situation. The man got shot to death basically over an argument relating to a handicapped parking space in front of a convenience store. I didn't really want to do this video, to be perfectly honest with you, but I got so many emails, so many people making comments on videos and chats that I was on to say, hey, we need your opinion. What do you think about this? And I did a little bit of digging into the story to figure out what's going on. I think I'm able to give my opinion about it. This is the young lady who was defended in the case, and her boyfriend is the one who got shot. The reason, and the only reason this is even the story, is because her boyfriend, who was black, was shot by a white man. If this was not the case, then nobody would care. That's the reality. That's the truth. I understand some may say I'm being harsh. Some may say that I'm being insensitive, but that's the reality. We're not speaking about a police officer involved shooting. We're not talking about anything other than two civilians. Civilians get shot and killed by each other every single day. Okay. Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Detroit, Dallas, Miami, wherever it is, people get shot and killed every day. You're talking about what, like 7,000 people that get shot and killed by regular civilians every year in the USA alone. So this one case would not have made the radar if both of the people that were involved were black or if they were both white. Nobody would care. It's being forced and pushed into a racial situation when that information is not exactly known yet. So what I'm going to do is react to this video that's in the background over here, kind of like point by point. I have to stop it kind of frequently to avoid ABC from trying to copyright claim it. I'll get through the video and give my final thoughts at the end. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
We have that new case testing the stand your ground law. The confrontation started as an argument over a handicapped parking space and escalated to a deadly shooting. Gio Benitez is here with that story. Good morning, Gio.
Yeah, Robin, good morning. It was all caught on camera. The argument, the push to the ground, and the shooting that ended it all.
Now, before we even get into it, notice the language that they use, argument, push to the ground, because the language is being used differently depending on where you go. Some say he just got shoved and that wasn't enough to actually provoke the gun to come out. Like, pay attention to what they actually say in this piece, and we'll keep going.
This morning, the man's girlfriend says the shooter got away with murder.
You're looking at surveillance video of a fight over a parking space that ended with an unarmed 28-year-old father of three killed. Florida.
Okay, that's right there, language, unarmed. Just because you're unarmed don't mean you're not dangerous. I mean, if you come out there and push somebody to the ground, see, that right there can be very dangerous. I suppose the guy who pushed the man onto the floor did not know that the man on the floor had a gun. If they are both unarmed, then the man who was on top has the advantage. See, that may have been what he thought, but unfortunately for him, he was wrong.
Police not charging the gunman, calling it an example of the state's contentious so-called stand your ground law.
I just want justice. I need something to be done because this is not right.
Britany Jacobs was sitting in her boyfriend's idling car when, she says, 47-year-old Michael Drejka approached to tell her that she illegally parked in a handicapped spot.
So this is where the conflict starts. She is in the spot in front of the store, is handicapped or whatever, and he approaches the vehicle. This is when all the series of events go into motion.
Boyfriend, 28-year-old Markeis McGlockton, had gone into the store to buy snacks for the kids.
And by the way, I think they said 28-year-old unarmed father of three. The kids are not all with the young lady. I just wanted to point that out. They do have a child together, and you'll see that, I suppose, maybe in a little bit.
You can see McGlockton walk out of the store. He sees and hears the argument, runs over, and pushes Drejka to the ground.
Okay, see, right there, at that point, when this happens, the guy who pushes him to the ground, you see him right here, he has a stance like he's pulling his shorts up. At that point, he's ready to fight. I mean, you don't come out there and push somebody to the ground without being ready to fight. He just probably didn't think, like I said earlier, that the guy had a gun. Okay. And I don't think he would have done this depending upon where he was at, because let's be real. If you in the hood, you in the ghetto or whatever, and it's close to nighttime and the person is black, you're not going to do that. It doesn't really matter what's being said. You're going to be cautious because you don't know what's going on. It could be 8 people around the corner that will come out, stomp you to death, kill you with illegal guns. It could kidnap you, put you in the trunk, and then you wind up missing. So he made a bad decision here. We'll talk about the guy on the ground because I'm not totally exonerating him, but the bad decision was made right here. The tragedy could have been totally avoided if the man here did not push this guy to the ground.
He's, pushing this man away from his girl, telling him to get away.
But that's when the irreversible happens. Drejka takes out a gun and shoots McGlockton. McGlockton, holding his chest, runs back into the store. Jacobs and the children watching from the car.
Now, I think that's the little boy right there. I suppose the little boy was in the store with his father. But to back up a little bit, right here, he's backing away. Now, what they're going to say is that since the guy was backing away from the guy on the ground, then he shouldn't have shot. But stand your ground law, the law is the law. You have the right to defend yourself. And you can't be tried under this because the law is very clear. The sheriff's office may want to charge him, but it looks like he knows the law. And maybe he doesn't, or maybe he just was not prepared to deal with what he did.
He collapsed in front of my son, and within 30 minutes, he was gone.
McGlockton was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. This morning, there are reports that Drejka, the shooter, has been known to have angry encounters over parking.
Out here, he said he'll shoot me.
The store owner says he's even had to call the cops on him for confronting other customers over parking.
For a parking lot, for a stupid reason, just to argue, just to find someone to argue with.
But police...
Now, you see the kind of store. I mean, this is not necessarily like some really big establishment. This is not an office. This is like some little store. It looks kind of run down. The roof looks a mess. I'm not really sure what location this is. It's in Florida. I believe it's in Tampa Bay. I'm not quite sure of the exact city, but I know it's in Florida. It looks like what happened here is that this guy, Michael Drejka, I think that's his name, the person who shot the man Markeis, he was probably one of these guys you would see at a store like this, a bum or something, homeless guy that may be behaving erratically. Because look at the store. It's only like, I mean, you could pretty much park anywhere in this little area. The handicap space doesn't even really matter. Even the store owner said it doesn't matter. So obviously this guy had some issues and he was in the wrong to be harassing people about the handicap space. But the point here is that there are guys like this that exist, people that are homeless, look kind of disheveled, and they go around harassing you over stuff that, things that don't make any sense. Don't park here, don't litter, stupid stuff. That doesn't mean that you can go up and push them to the ground, beat on them, or you can't do that. And then if you're going to do that, be ready for what happens, because you need to understand it. Not all these people that you think are bums, homeless or whatever, or mentally not stable, don't think because they're in that state they can't do something to you. Let this be a cautionary tale. Don't put your hands on somebody if you ain't ready for the consequences.
They say this shooting was self-defense. The Stand Your Ground law gives Floridians the right to protect themselves if they feel threatened. It was used as the defense argument for former neighborhood watchman George Zimmerman, who killed unarmed 17-year-old Trayvon Martin back in 2012.
Now, Trayvon Martin, I knew that was going to get brought up. The whole thing with Trayvon Martin, people keep talking about, first of all, you're talking about, again, 2 civilians. Nobody would care if Trayvon and Zimmerman were black, or if they were both Hispanic, or if they were both white. The only reason why it's even a problem, the reason why there's a protest, looks like Al Sharpton right there. The reason why it's a protest is because of the racial factor. And nobody even knows if this guy, Drejka, was a racist, white supremacist, or whatever, but they'll label him as that. Is it possible that he is? Sure. But do we have any information about that? I mean, like I said, the only reason why anybody cares is because of the racial thing. If it wasn't for that, you wouldn't see me right here talking about it. Nobody would know about it. It'd be yet another homicide in the city that goes in the news, and it's not spoken about again. Nobody would care except for the family of the person who is deceased, and maybe even the family of the person who got or who was a shooter. And that's pretty much it.
The shooting and Zimmerman's acquittal sparking national outrage. Back in Clearwater overnight, a girlfriend asking for justice.
He was a good man, and all he was trying to do was just protect his family.
Meanwhile, the local sheriff there says that even though they believe the shooting falls under that stand your ground law, he's not saying he agrees with it. Police will now send the case over to the state attorney's office for a final decision, Robin.
All right, so that's it right there. Now, like the man said right here, I mean, there's not much you can really do in this situation. I mean, the law is a law. You know, the sheriffs and whatnot, they can't really change law. All they can do is enforce it. It is what it is. I'm going to try to get to a point here where you can see what's going on. But yeah, all they can do is enforce the law. And people are talking about stand your ground, must go, repeal the law. A lot of black folks now. But if I'm wrong, let me know in the box when I get ready to say. But I saw a stat that said like 33% of stand your ground cases were ruled in favor of African Americans. 33%. Now, what's the black population of Florida? I know we're not 33% of the population of Florida. Matter of fact, let's look it up here. Okay, black population of Florida, 17% African American. And let's also look up percentage of stand your ground cases ruled in favor of black in Florida. Oh, wow, look at this. Okay, this is on TampaBay.com. Let's see. Overall, black defendants went free 66% of the time in fatal cases compared to 61% for white defendants. A difference explained in part by the fact blacks are more likely to kill another black. Let's be clear, said Alfreda Cower, a black Fort Lauderdale lawyer whose clients are mostly black men. This law was not designed for the protection of young black males, but it's benefiting them in certain cases. Obviously so. I mean, look, how can you say, like, I don't think it was necessarily designed to defend any particular race. I think that the law is to defend all Floridians. And obviously, it works out well for us. I mean, the information is right here. If you want this article, I'll link it in the box below. I didn't even know it was this high. 66% of the time. And I think the 33% I was getting was a total number of cases that involve stand your ground. So we're more likely to get off of a fatal shooting, and we're represented higher in the total number of stand your ground cases when it rules in favor of us. So when you're talking about, oh, well, stand your ground must go, what are you really talking about? Do you want blacks to be victimized more by the big bad system of white supremacy, criminal justice system? What's really going on? At the end of the day, I just want to close with this. This situation was very unfortunate, very sad, but it could have been avoided. The first thing is that this bum or whoever it is obviously had some issues. He shouldn't have been going around talking crazy about parking spots. Okay, we get that. However, the guy who came out reacted in a brainless fashion because he doesn't know what this guy has on him. If you're going to push somebody like that and get ready to fight, you need to be ready for whatever they got. You got your wife in the car, or your girlfriend, you got kids in the car, you got a little boy with you. You need to think a little bit more clearly about what you're doing before you do it. Because like I said, if this were to be in a hood, low income area, I don't think he would have done what he did because he knows there's a higher risk for him and his family to get seriously injured or killed. So let it be a lesson to you. If you see a guy outside the store acting crazy, talking about, you know, my shoes are dirty, I can't get them clean, or whatever stuff they're talking, let them be. Don't mess with them because you never know what they got going on. Obviously, if they're out there talking crazy about a handicapped parking space in this little podunk store in the hood, mentally, they're not all there. And if a person is not mentally all there, they're dangerous. And this can be explained by this video right here. So again, stand your ground. Don't talk about repealing that. That's going to help black folks more than it hurts us. And that's pretty much all I got. So what do you think? Do you think that the guy on the ground was right to defend himself because it was self-defense? Do you think that the guy on the ground provoked the situation? Do you think that the guy Markeis, who pushed the guy on the ground, overreacted and didn't think clearly before he acted. Whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.